Yes, whop some chairs and keep it going for Charlie Brooke. Ta-da! I do genuinely love a stage that's harder to get on than Universal Credit. It's yeah. So yeah, I just thought I'd tell you some funny tales about having shit legs, because they're proper shit, aren't they? But it's weird because, like, at the start, they behaved normally and they did what human legs do, right? And then in recent years, they just started being utterly shit at everything. So I thought I'll do what an adult would, and I'll go to the GP about it and see what can get done. So he says, what's the problem, Mr. Brooke? I says, well, I've got some concerns with the old lower limbs. He says, what do you mean? He says, well, what if George Michael were right about guilty feet having no rhythm? And he's like, you've not booked an appointment with my clinic over fears that you're never going to dance again, have you? Nah, mate, I mean, as if I'd waste this chance that I've been given. Boom for the rule of three. But I says, no, obviously it is the legs. He says, well, what is the problem with them? I says, well, they're a bit like the young folk that work weekends in Argos, yeah? Because to look at them, the sound, until I ask them to do anything. Then they're just very much unresponsive dickheads. So he says, fair play, that does sound pretty damaged. And he bounced us off to see a consultant to work out what flavour of broken I am. Now, before you get to chat to them, you have a chat with like a diagnostic nurse, see if they can pick off any low-hanging fruit or what's wrong with you. Now, if you've any adult skills, that's a piss-easy appointment to get through. But as you're going to find out over the next couple of minutes, I'm even worse at being an adult than I am at walking. So it's just not happening. So when you walk into the room, she hits me with a very simple first question of, OK, Mr. Brooke, could you tell me, last time you got weighed, what's your weight? £8 4 ounces. Literally gets booted back into the waiting room at this point. So shortly after, I gets the nod to go in and see the boss man. So I'm shuffling towards his office like this. And suddenly he's at the door. He's like, Mr. Brooke. Calm down, giddy lad. Only ever kebab shop owners that excited to see me walk into a doorway. So once I gets in the room, he shuts the door and he hits us with a little, you're here today for me to see your legs, aren't you? So it'd be nice to see your legs if you'd take your shorts off for me. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, I'm probably a lot too round and a bit too old for this to be a nonce request. I'll assume it's medical and give the boy what he's after. Now, what we realise at this point is as I start to lower the shorts of that day, you'd find it quite hard to believe that it's possible to get cotton in a worse state of health than I am. But somehow that's the boxers I'm wearing that day. Now, I'm never going to be Giacomo's most religious customer. But I am saying a little prayer at this moment that for that procedure, I've got me the sleepiest dick in Yorkshire, and I somehow get through this process without ending up on a register. So, mission accomplished. Now, when I've gone through all the other bits that there's just no time to entertain you with tonight, they decided that literally the only way I could be less disabled is if there's less of me to be disabled. Now, obviously, whatever angle you're looking at us from tonight, you can tell that's not a successful appointment, is it? But again, I sit down in this woman's office and she's like, okay, Mr. Brooke, could you tell me, regular exercise, is that anything you managed to achieve? I'm like, oh yeah. According to the old smartwatch, 7-8 hours a day of it. She's like, oh, that's amazing. What is it you've been doing? I said, oh, I just learned to eat biscuits left-handed. So to end on a powerful image for you all, she says, okay, you've mentioned your diet there. I mean, could you tell me, how often would you imagine that you eat fruits and vegetables as part of that? I said, well, to be honest, probably about as often as you imagine your dad eats your mum. On that powerful image, I've been Johnny Brooke, and you've totally been worth walking across Manchester in one trainer. So, cheers for having me.
Good stuff, mate. Johnny Brooke! Yes!